me ask you three questions. How many of your students are crapping out, but no one ever showed them how to hit the point? And when was the last time your campus vision made a teacher stop and say, now that's why I teach? And is your campus's vision a living, breathing part of your campus? Or is it just a framed quote above the door at your office or when people walk into the building? If you have to think about that for a minute, then this live is for you. You know, my secretary walked into my office and she said, there are two young students here, two young men, and they're here to see you. So now it seemed like it was going to be a discipline problem. And I said, now, I only deal with the serious discipline issues. So I immediately thought, this must be bad. So these two young men walked in. They were very polite. They were smiling. One of them name was Cocomo. Cocomo was a tall, slender, dark-skinned young man. Beautiful smile, so respectful. And he fresh out of juvenile detention after stealing the car. And his friend, who was, much smaller stature, he greeted me respectfully as well. And he was just kind of marveling, looking around, at my office. So I said, well, what's the problem? So Kokomo said, Dr. Polk, we were shooting craps in the back of the classroom, back of Miss Harris's classroom. And she told us to get out. I said, oh, okay. I said, you got the dice? He said, yes, ma'am. I got the dice. And he was just grinning. I said, okay, let's take them out and let's roll them. So to their marvel, we did. We went to the corner of my office and we played craps. He kept hitting his point. Then he finally crapped out. I looked at him and I said, every time you hit that point, you're working with the law of probability. You ever heard of that, Kokomo? Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. I never heard of that, is what he said. But I know now. So Kokomo hit his point that day. But most of the time, he's been crapping out. He's coming to school because that's where he has to be. That's where his probation officer told him to be. How many kids in our underperforming schools are set up to lose because we haven't built a vision that includes them? Hi, my name is Dr. Barbara Polk, and I come on every week to talk about ways that we can address the students, the teachers, the community in our underperforming schools, in our communities that need us so much as principals. I was assigned to three underperforming schools. I was the principal of an underperforming school that never returned to underperforming. I was there for 8 years as a principal. I was also assigned by the Texas Education Agency to go into underperforming schools and get them turned around within a year. That's right, a year. But we worked. And also was a field supervisor for Texas Teachers, where I assisted those teachers who were working on their certification, how to get recommended for their certification as they are teaching in their classrooms. So let's get back to your vision. Now, when I was first a principal, our region sent us to the training at the Regional Service Center, and they had us all to follow this rote process of fill this part out here, fill this part out there. And what I realized is that the vision is what's going to make the school what it is. It said, without a vision, the people perish. So if you're serious about turning your school around, let's talk about some things that will be helpful. So the first thing, and I didn't realize it at the time, is storytelling to make your vision stick. Now, let's be honest. The vision is not the teacher's vision. It's not the community's vision. It's your vision. Because you've looked at the data. You understand your demographics. and you want your school to be at the top. So if your vision is, for example, 100% of your second graders to be reading at third grade level by the end of the second grade year, then that's your vision. Or if you want all of your eighth graders to master the math tests, then that's your vision. And they are going to say you are crazy. They're going to push back. But with the story, you're going to tell the story. You're going to tell the story of Cocomo, who deserves the chance. You're going to give Cocomo a reason to want to come to school and not go on the parking lot at the local hospital and try to steal somebody's car. You're going to share that story. You're going to share the story why you believe that your students deserve the best. I don't care where they come from. I don't care how many discipline issues we have. But that's your vision. You're going to tell those real stories in your professional developments. You're going to tell those real stories in your PLCs. That's your vision. And you have to make it clear. And everybody needs to understand it. And everybody wants to achieve it. So your staff will see the vision in action. So you have to make it memorable. And then you have to have your vision set up and written in such a way that it connects daily, not just with teachers, but with students. They have to understand. You know, the vision should be so clear that teachers should be able to say, here's how my lesson or my conversation in this hallway reflects our school vision. Everything they do, everything they say is connected to the vision. And then you want to ask, how does this vision impact your decisions on a daily basis? How does the vision impact a field trip? How does vision impact clubs on your campus? How does vision impact any kind of special assignments? How do they align with your vision? And then, of course, as you have been doing on your campus improvement plans, and we're not calling them campus improvement plans, we are going to call it a campus transformation plan. You're going to have to measure what you value. Now, if your vision talks about transformation, then what are you measuring besides test scores? And that's usually all we think of when we talk about vision. We think about test scores. But you know, there's some other things that you have to measure. And what I have found that will make all of the difference in the world. And you're going to have to track your impact. How are things changing because of your vision? How are students who were treated unfairly, how are they being treated differently now? Track that. Your vision is going to have to track relationships. Do you have a toxic environment? And now that environment is changing because everybody is working towards that vision. Now you are measuring relationships. Are your teachers assisting each other? Do you sit in your PLCs and you stop doing the blame game? Are you seeing the change where teachers are saying, let's take an opportunity to work together in a group? I want you to show me how you are teaching this, and I can show you how I'm teaching, my stuff, because I do a good job and you do a good job. Whatever you say, you value. Listen, I don't want you to write another campus improvement plan. I want you writing a campus transformation plan. So, because of that, I'm inviting you to a 2 day challenge. And it's a challenge how to turn your school around in 48 hours. It's July 9th and 10th, 6 p.m. to about 7:30. It's going to be on Zoom. And what you are actually going to do, we are going to write that transformational vision. That's right. We're going to get a blueprint to lead real change. So, look at the show notes, go on and register for the challenge, 2 day challenge, how to turn your school around in 48 hours. Because, principals, we want Cocomo to hit his point. We don't want him crapping out. And when we write a vision that everybody understands, that everybody supports, then we will not only be helping students like Cocomo, but we will be helping 100% of the students that are on our campus because we have a vision that everybody understands. So, we want to turn your school into a school that everybody wants to go to. We want to transform your school into a hallelujah success story. So we'll see you next time on Principles on the Come Up, where we transform schools into hallelujah success stories. We'll see you next time.